morning, we'd want to lean, I guess, toward financial stuff. But really, you can ask me what size shoe I wear, and do I like to eat hamburgers with cheese or without cheese, or any question that you want, just so you can get to know who your teacher is. Assuming I'm one of your teachers, I hope that I hope I'm earning the right to be considered for one of your teachers. I really enjoy teaching. Now I'm hearing a noise. Oh, I didn't know that we had a guest today, so forget all that. We're changing the whole agenda. I totally forgot. Hey, Lene. Oh, I think you're muted.
I am muted.
Yes. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Doing good, doing good. I totally flubbed it today. Chanel for I guess I have to be reminded all the time. I totally forgot we had a guest, so I was totally like telling them we're gonna do a whole nother thing, but we're not gonna do the whole nother thing because Dr. Lanee Javet is here. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing good, Dr. Javette, Dr. Lanee Javet. You okay, so you're my friend, and I want everybody to know that Lanee is not just a friend, but she's the homie. She's really the homie. Like way back, like way back like hacky sack, like 2014, 2015. In fact, one little secret about Lanee Javet is actually the first all black national convention that we did in 2016. She was, I think, was it 2016? It was 2016, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. She was the first person I called because what happens is I come up with these crazy ideas, and in case you haven't heard the story of where the convention came from, I literally went to sleep and I was in Atlanta, ironically, and I remember waking up and in my dream, like I feel like something in my dream said you should have a convention and call it the All Black National Convention. So I woke up with the idea and the name in my head. So I called Lene. I said, I want to have a convention and let's call it the All Black National Convention, and I want to do it in like 3 weeks. And Lene ran with me on that, and we did the damn thing.
And it came out good. It was amazing.
It was, and I don't even know how we got all those people to come out on short notice. I know Killer Mike was there; he did a great job. David Banner, and then a lot of really super smart people, Malik Zulu Shabazz, and the judge. I forgot the judge out of Kentucky. I forgot his name. He's the one who has a real deep voice. I
Oh,
should remember.
I remember.
We had fought for him because he was the one that I should know his name, guys, but yeah, I'm bad with names. But he basically had something had happened where he found that there was a racial bias in some case or something, and he dismissed the case because of the racism, and
Hmm.
they wanted to remove him from the bench. And so we had protested on his behalf. I forgot his name though. And so a lot of really, really awesome people, from thinkers and attorneys and doctors and lawyers and entertainers. And it was a lot of fun. We had at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Crazy, right? Yeah. So anyway, let me
I think anything that's grassroots is amazing. Look how far it's come. Like you're going to be celebrating 10 years here pretty soon. And
yeah.
starting from the Black Madonna, everything's in one room, no breakouts. Like a single woman running the show, like to where it is today.
You
Months
know
of
what?
planning, teams, breakouts, children's events. Like it's crazy.
You know what? I'll tell you, it's one of these things where I didn't even know that if it was gonna work or not, and I feel completely blessed. Like if you ever want to be successful in anything that you do, like find great people to work with you who can see what you're doing and who are gonna ride with you on that. And I couldn't have done it without you because I remember you telling me that during the day you had taken 10,000 steps like walking back and forth between like getting everybody ready together. So she did the damn thing. And so anyway, without further ado, everybody, this is Dr. Lanee Javet. And Dr. Javet, as you can tell, is a friend of mine. She's also super smart, an extraordinary black woman. She's very accomplished, 100% in her own right. And has graced us with her presence today, which I am so bad that I had totally forgotten that we'd scheduled it. But it's okay though, because you're here. So, all right, so let's get started. All right, so Dr. Javette, what you been up to? What you been doing? Who are you?
Those are a variety of different questions. What have I been up to? I have. So can we be honest? We're family here, right? We can have an honest conversation.
Of course we
So
can.
I have been up to rebuilding myself, my life, my persona, my character. I set out on this doctorate journey. It took 5 years to do. I was sitting behind my business during those 5 years because oftentimes when we're going after something we're going to do something and we want to be great, we have to make some sacrifices in order to be great. And so I made a lot of sacrifices for 5 years. And when it was done and I had the prize in my hand and I had the title, I didn't know what to do with it. So I kind of fell off a little bit mentally. My clients were still doing good. My business was still doing good. But me as a human being, I hadn't really taken the time for self-love and to love on myself and to feed myself and to nurture myself because I was looking out for everybody else. And so for this
Mm,
last year, I've kind of just been taking care of me, like just loving on me, nurturing me. What do I need? I dealt with a little bit of imposter syndrome for a little bit, just, the whole at 47 to now go from Lanee Javet to Dr. Lanee Javet. It was a little bit weird. You know what I'm saying? I think it could be equivalent to somebody getting a huge promotion in their job and taking on new responsibilities or becoming a wife or becoming a grandmother. It's just this
mm,
major transition in your identity.
mm.
Um, and so just kind of sort of taking that in. And so now I feel like I'm good. I'm better. I'd actually talked to my chair yesterday. Funny you should ask. I talked to her yesterday and she asked me to come back and mentor, but also to publish. She wants me to publish. She was like, don't just become a doctor, publish. And so I think I'm ready to publish now. So that's it. I've been doing that. I'm in the process of rebranding. Um, I'm still a business coach, but I really want to help Black businesses make money. My goal is to help Black entrepreneurs to triple their revenue. And I want to do that by helping them to brand their brilliance. So I'm focusing on service-based entrepreneurs who package and sell their expertise because you probably can attest to this, that's where most Black entrepreneurs struggle. I'm smart, I'm brilliant, I have something that I want to share with the world, but I don't know how to do it. And I definitely don't know how to charge for it. So that's really what I'm focusing on and what I'm doing right now.
Mm. So, Dr. Javette, it's interesting. I want y'all to know that we're getting just this amazing triple dose of super talented Black women. Because yet just yesterday we had Dr. Melina Abdullah in class, who is the vice presidential candidate with Dr. Cornel West.
Mm.
And what I like is I like the fact that we're getting a chance to really see just, all the amazingly talented sisters that are out here, not just the Kamala Harrises are out here, but like the people that are also really, really concerned specifically about our community. Again, I wear shirts like this because y'all know where I stand politically. I'm not nothing against anybody's politics, and we're not going to make that the conversation, but I'm voting for the Black community first before I vote for anybody else. So to me, I think B1 means I think you should be Black first before you're a Democrat or Republican, before you become gay or straight, before you become male or female, young or old, educated, uneducated, rich or poor, whatever, right? And so what I like about you is you actually dedicated your dissertation to studying, I believe it was Black female entrepreneurs. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay,
the success.
talk about that a little bit.
So when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to look at, like I knew I was B1 from the jump. Like I've always been, even when I started my business, I knew it was for Black people. Um, but in doing it, I didn't just want to talk about my success, like how I got to be where I was. I wanted to understand the psychology behind it.
Mm,
And so I decided to get my PhD. It's in performance psychology. So it's performance psychology is based on the premise. It used to be called sports psychology because sports athletes have to perform at such a high level, your Serenas and whatnot. It's a mental thing to be able to operate at that high level. And so they called it sports psychology. But then they realized, well, sports people aren't the only people who should operate at a high level. It should CEOs operate at a high level. Police officers they get shot at. Firefighters, they run into burning buildings. Like it's not just sports individuals that should operate at a high level. And so they changed it from sports psychology to performance psychology because it's really about being able to perform at a high level. And what does that mindset look like? And so I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, what about Black people? Like, how come nobody's ever looking at the success of Black people and how we perform? At most dissertations and research is done on why Black businesses fail. The majority of research looks at why
Wow.
Black businesses fail. We don't got to do that. We know why. You don't give us no money. You don't give us the tools that we need. You're giving everybody else the resources and the tools and the breaks and whatnot. We know why Black businesses fail, right? We get that. And so I wanted to look at what makes us successful and how can we be successful. And
Hmm.
so I did it under the guise of psychological capital. Okay.
Hmm.
So we know what financial capital is. It's money. Human capital is people. Psychological capital is the mind. It's how we think. And so it's made up of 4 factors, which is called HERO: hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. So that's what psychological capital is. So I looked at success from a subjective framework. So not by how much money you make, even though money was one of my qualifiers, I didn't base it on how society looks at success. So I looked at the success of African American female entrepreneurs by way of psychological capital. So I measured Black women's hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism based on how successful they were in their business. And I looked at it from a subjective standpoint. And so subjective means, why did you become an entrepreneur? Was it to take your kids to school? Was it so that you don't have to work for anybody else? Was it because we become entrepreneurs for different things, racism in your work environment, whatever the case might be. And so what we were able to find out was hope, efficacy, and resilience rated very high. People who are hopeful, people who are self-efficacious, meaning they can rely on themselves to get up and be driven, and people who are resilient operated and or saw themselves as successful. And so one of the reasons why I looked at psychological capital is because hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism are malleable, which means you can teach them. I can literally teach a Black person to have hope, to be resilient, to have self-efficacy, and to be optimism. And if I can do that, then I can teach you how to be successful. It's in the mind. So that's what I study. I did, again, as a business coach and a strategist, I can tell you about me all day, but that's not going to help me help you. But if I can understand how to help you perform at a high level, then I can change stereotypes. I can help us in our businesses. I can help you get out of your mind and your business. I can help you believe that you should make 6 figures. I can help you to believe that you can have $1 million, because a lot of times we don't think it, we don't believe it because we haven't seen it in our family. We haven't seen anybody else do it. We see somebody on TV do it because we celebrate celebrities, but we don't celebrate our cousin Pookie and them who started their little candle business over here. So that's
Ooh.
a psychological thing.
Wow, that's really powerful. So hero, hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism. And that really makes sense. That really makes sense to me because that hope, and I'm thinking particularly hope, resilience, and optimism, efficacy as well. But that hope, resilience, and optimism really is attitude. A lot of it's linked to attitude. Um, and you think about this, right? I want y'all to process this for a minute. Imagine people that you know who are just really negative, right? Who are scared of everything, don't believe in themselves, very pessimistic. I want y'all to really process, think about this out loud. Let me know if you know people like this. Just always think it's gonna rain, even when the sun is shining, are always looking for the other shoe to drop. They see everything that happens as an omen of worse things yet to come. People like that can't really succeed in business because a lot of your ability to overcome and solve problems is to have the right attitude. Like when I used to teach math at the University of Kentucky, one thing I would run into is people when they would have their math phobias, which would literally make you dumber when it comes to math, right? If you're not good at math and all you do is you tell yourself I'm terrible at math, and then when I give you a math problem, you're going to freak out. And you're going to literally, even a problem that you could have solved, you're not going to be able to solve it. Studies show this. I could give you a problem that you could easily solve, but because you are so busy getting in your own way and beating yourself up and tearing yourself down, you won't be able to solve even a simple problem. They did that. They actually ran this experiment, Dr. Javette, where I'm gonna start calling you Dr. Javette. I used to call her Lanee, but I'm gonna call you Dr. Javette. Okay. All right. So anyway,
Okay.
so what they did this experiment, Dr. Javette, where they had two groups of students and they asked them to solve a problem. And the one half of the class, they gave them a problem that was easily solvable. The other half, they gave them problems that were unsolvable, that were just impossible. So, so they went through one and they said, "How many of you solved it?" And all the kids on one side raised their hand. The other kids were like kind of embarrassed. Second problem, same thing. First group nailed it. Second group was like, damn, because they were, they're just embarrassed, right? And then when they got to the third problem, they took the group that they'd given the impossible problem to, and they gave them the easy problem this time. And do you know that even then, the students who had lost their confidence could not solve the easy problem? Now, I want y'all
Already,
to think about this. I want y'all to let me know if y'all let me know, give me a yes in the chat if you're following this story. Sometimes I tell the stories wrong, but because I think this is important. So literally, Dr. Javette, it was just that confidence that made them decide, like, is this even worth my time? Is it worth my effort? And I brought up word problems or math problems in particular because a lot of times I remember when I taught math, I would have students where if you give them a word problem, the first thing that they do is freak out, like get scared and panic and start sweating and everything else. And it's like, how are you going to solve a problem when your whole rational mind has been flooded with all these negative toxic emotions?
yep,
So in my view, when you're talking about us as a people and the amount of trauma we've experienced, we're probably most likely to have those crazy reactions to challenging situations, and these trauma responses. That's what Dr. Alicia refers to, my wife, Dr. Alicia refers to them as. And I think so. This is, to me, speaks to the importance of things like healing, right? Healing, meditation, all these things that we think don't matter, that they do matter. What would you say to that?
absolutely they do. The beautiful thing about like hope is super powerful. Even that, when I first started, I was like, what's the difference between hope and resilience and hope and optimism? Like, aren't they the same? And they're not. They're actually different because you can be hopeful. I have hope that this is going to turn out, but I'm not optimistic that it's going to. I hope
Mm.
it does, but I'm not optimistic. Like you need them individually. You can be optimistic. I believe that this is going to happen, but I'm not hopeful that it will. Like you need them equally in both. And the trauma is what will trigger us to have one and not the other. I hope this is going to be good, but the past has shown me that it's not going to turn out well. So I'm not going to be optimistic that this time is going to be different. So to your math analogy, I didn't get it right the first time. I didn't get it right the second time. Chances are I'm not going to get it right the third time. So I'm not going to read it thoroughly. I'm not going to put in as much energy and effort. I'm not going to even try to see if I can get it right because I didn't get it right the first two times. That's the efficacy piece. Self-efficacy comes through and says, no matter what's in front of me, I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to do it better. But the world and society has done its best to beat us down as Black people. One
Mm.
of the things I always say about us, even before I did the psychology, my dissertation, and before I started looking at this, was that we are the most resilient people. We can make $1 out of 15 cents. We are resilient. If we don't have hope, efficacy, or optimism, we are resilient, if nothing else. And resilience is great, but it's stronger when we don't have the trauma.
Mm.
Or if you have the trauma, but you can also have the hope and the optimism to say, although this thing has happened to me, although I don't have these things, although I may not show up with the same tools and resources, although I may not have gotten it right the first two times, I'm going to show up and I'm going to play ball. I'm going to show up and I'm going to play. I'm going to show up and I'm going to try again. If we do that, that's where the hero comes from. That's where that psychological capital comes from. That mindset, man. If you show up, even with everything that has happened to you, prepared to play, at some point in time, you're gonna hit the ball.
Mm. Wow, I love that. I'm just processing what you said because that's super powerful. I mean, like that's church in my opinion. Like that's something that's and I mean, and even speaking of church, there's a benefit of that, right? Church gives us faith, right? Faith can sometimes be something you can hold on to during a dark storm, I think, though, but they always also say in the smart church is what faith without works is dead, right?
Yeah.
So I think that there's lots of
Look at you
lessons.
quoting, look at you quoting on Bible stuff.
Yeah, both my daddies are pastors. I don't know if you know that or not. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, my biological daddy and my daddy that raised me, they were both pastors. So people keep saying that I'm just running away from God or something. But I don't think I'm running away from God. I think I ran out of the church to get closer to God. Thank you very much. Can I get an amen?
Listen, Brother Truth and the devil, sometimes you got to do that.
Some of these churches ain't got nothing to do with God. And that's what I stand on. But then some churches really are nailing it and doing the right thing, right? So we can't, sort of clump together all of our churches, right? But with that said, though, so Dr. Javette, I'm really thinking about your model. So the hero model, is that something that was out there already, or something that you developed in your dissertation, or?
Yeah, it was already out there. It was not developed by me. It's newer though, so there's not a lot of research on it.
Mhm.
Um, and because it's newer, there's definitely not a lot of research on Black people. Again, mostly it's sports. Then it went to, I think, firefighters and policemen. Then from there, it went to CEOs.
Mhm.
And now they're rolling it out in the perspective of, they're looking at performance psychology from the employee perspective, how to build better employees. And now it's starting to trickle into, okay, well, not just employees, but what about entrepreneurs? And of course, we're looking at entrepreneurs because they don't see the success in Black people. They're not looking at the psychological capital as a success factor for Black people. And so I
Mm.
am one of the first here in the United States. I found some abroad in other countries. There's a lot happening in like Africa, and Europe, but not necessarily over here in the United States. In the United States, they're looking at white men.
Interesting, interesting. Well, and I really think people that are smart will eventually start studying Black women, if in terms of that template for understanding how you can have so much success despite so much adversity, right? You've got, of course, Black women are as diverse as everybody else, right? But yeah, so not everybody is a high flyer in terms of professional success, business success, but the ones that are flying are really flying, and I think that is something to consider, something really worth studying, and I think you're the right person to do that. And in fact, I'm even going to talk to Alicia about that, because I think this is something that we can learn from. Because one of the things that I think, falsely believe is that everything that we need is in the hands of somebody else, or everything we need to learn is, controlled and possessed by someone else, and so we got to go over there to get the knowledge that we need. And really, a lot of what we need is like right here, right with us. And so, okay, so you all right, so this is really interesting. So let me ask you this. So do you overcame adversity in your own life to become the extraordinary human being that you are now? Do you want to talk about that? I mean, in terms of how the hero model might have played a role in the success of Dr. Lanee Javet.
Absolutely. So funny that you should say that. I never even really tied those two together in that way. Oddly enough, I don't think growing up, I don't, it is, oh my God, that's a good question. I'm literally in my head trying to think, was I hopeful? I've always had self-efficacy and I've always been resilient, which is how I got to where I got. And I'm gonna get to that in a second. But the optimism and the hope, I don't know. I just always had great self-efficacy and resilience. So what you're talking about is, I say all the time, I went from the pole to a PhD, or from a dancer to a doctor. And from the age of 19 to 23, I was a stripper. I danced in the adult clubs, if you will. And I got there being resilient. I fell asleep driving my car. I ran up under a truck. I'm 19 years old. My best friend's uncle co-signed for me. I'm 19. I got to come up with $2,500 to pay for this car that I just totaled because I fell asleep and I drove under a truck. And so I saw an ad that said you can make $1,500 in a week. And I was like, well, heck, let me go try it out. I'm 19. Yeah, where else am I make $1,500 in a week? I went in there and they said, all you got to do is show your breast. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I also had low self-esteem when I was younger. I felt like if you've seen two titties, you've seen them all. So I didn't feel like mine was special. So I was just like, okay, cool. Let me go make this money. All that to say, I made the money. I paid for the car, the total car, and I just kept doing it, right? So I danced from probably like 19 to 23-ish, 19 to 22. It was about 3 years that I danced. Um, and I stopped and I went and got a regular job and had my son and I did all the things. And I knew I didn't want that to be the end of my story. I knew I wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to be a boss. I knew I wanted to be a CEO. So I went to cosmetology school and I thought I would just be, I have my own beauty shop. But then I was like, no, that's not it. And so I flunked out of ninth grade and I tried to go back to college and it just wasn't for me because I worked so hard to get out of high school to then become a dancer, a single mom at 23. And so when I got this position at an architectural firm, nope, not that one. I got a position at the architectural firm at a aerospace company. And this lady, she was like, I see something great in you. She was like, what are you doing? Like, what are you, how you living life? And I was like, I'm just living, I'm just making it. And she was like, I want you to go to school. We're going to pay for it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I went and got my bachelor's degree, finished with that. And I was like, okay, I think I'm going to get my master's. And I went and got my MBA. And then I left that company and I was like, I'm ready to start my own business and started my own business. And the business that I actually started is not even the business that I do right now. My first business called Sire was, I've always known I'm supposed to be helping Black people. Like I've always known that. With Sire, it was right when Obama was first coming into office and there was so much racism online. I was like, I need to put something out here that encourages us and lets us know that like we're still valuable to the world and society. And so I started Sire, which was a play on the words culture and desire, because I felt like our culture as far as who we are as Black people hadn't changed, and especially not our desires. The desires of our ancestors are the same as ours today: respect, family, education, love. Those things are changed. We still fighting for the same things that our ancestors was fighting for. It's better for us today, but we're still fighting for them. And so the success of that was quick and fast. In less than a year, we had over 3 million page views, over 1 million people. We were in 214 countries and territories. People started saying, like, what are you doing? I have 75,000 followers. I'm working with the great Dr. Boyce Watkins. What are you doing? And so I started coaching. I'm starting to tell people what I'm doing. Oh, I'm doing this on social media. I'm doing this. I'm doing live. I'm doing podcasts. I'm flying all over the places. I'm speaking. I'm hosting all Black national conventions. I've done this stuff before. And so I'm coaching and I'm talking to people about their life and I'm talking to them about their business. And I just didn't feel like I had the science behind it. Like I'm literally just doing it off of me and what I know. And so that's how I ended up with my PhD. I was like, I want to be able to coach and teach and mentor from a place that's backed by science. I want to know that I know that what I'm doing is helping people, right? And so as I'm in my PhD program, I was reminded that at the age of 12, I wanted to go to school and be a doctor. I wanted to go to Spelman. I wanted to be an AKA. And so when I flunked out of ninth grade, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be a doctor. I given up on that dream. One, I didn't like blood. Two, that was okay. Well, I don't have to do blood. Maybe I'll be a gynecologist. I was like, I don't like kids. Then I was like, I'll be a general practitioner. Then I settled on general practitioner, but then I flunked out of ninth grade. And I was like, well, I guess my dreams is done. I'm not going to be a doctor. So when I started dancing, I was like, I guess this is all I have to offer the world. I'm not going to do anything with myself or my life because I'm not going to be a doctor. And just God is good. 35 years later, I got that vision at 12. 35 years later, I graduated with my PhD. I didn't know that this is the doctor that I was going to be. I didn't know that. But life took me on a lot of ups and downs and circles. And I felt like I had given up. Like I did not know that this was what my life was going to be. I knew something in me gave me the seed of being a doctor when I was 12, but I didn't see it this way. I thought I was going to be an MD, but I knew I was going to help people. I knew I was going to change the world. I didn't know how. And so to be here in this space of being able to help my community, help Black entrepreneurs, I always say rebuke the stereotypes. We don't have to operate stereotypical businesses that what they say. I get to every single day wake up and help Black businesses be better, make more money, build their legacy. And so I never thought about it the way that you just said it. I always thought I was running from my past. Like, I don't want this to be the end of my story. Like, I don't want that to be what defines me. And to see it fully 35 years fulfilled, the dream happened at 12. It came to fruition 35 years later. In between that, I was a doctor, I was a cosmetologist, I was a single mom. I've had all these different lives and experiences, and they just make me better. Like, they help me to help others. It's given me a story to be more relatable. If we're bringing God into it, I don't look like what I've been through. I can't even tell you how I've made it this far, other than hope, advocacy. I've been resilient. I'm super optimistic. Like, you can't really tell me anything bad because I've seen too many things happen in my life. I've made it through too many things. Too many things have tried to take me out. I've been broke. I've had money. I've been lost. Now I'm found. I mean, like, I can go on and on. Like, life is good, God is good, being Black is good, the community is good. Is what we do with it. It's who we surround ourselves with. It's the environments and the buildings and the places that we go. It's the conferences that we invest in. It's all Black national conventions. It's the Black enterprise at that time, the Black business conference. It's putting ourselves in places to be better. And that's literally what has brought me this far. Knowing people like you, having a mentor like you, putting myself in just different places. I've, if you're taking school out of it, I have definitely probably invested upwards of $50,000 in my education outside of school. So going to events, going to conferences, paying for courses and classes. Sometimes I'm the only Black person in the room, or at least one of a handful. So I get to go get that information and come back to the community. Like, let me tell y'all what they doing over there. Let me tell you, they trying to leave us, y'all. They doing this. This is what the trend is. We got to do this. Make sure your business is doing this. So that's it. Like,
Wow.
answer the doctor and pole PhD.
Well,
Author.
I want everybody give me a yes if you're just as fascinated with this story as I am. And Lanee's been my homie for years, and I haven't heard some of this stuff. I haven't, and it's funny. I can't point to every part of it that I'm just sitting here fascinated. It was that's really powerful,
Because I've
and
gotten better at telling it. Remember when we first met?
yeah,
You know,
I remember.
I used to be a dancer, so I don't know if you
Mm,
want to work with me because I don't want to embarrass you.
yeah.
Uh, you know, I used to be a dancer. Now I'm a doctor. What?
What? Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this is so cool. I didn't I had no idea. I want y'all to know I had no idea that Dr. Javette was gonna go into all this stuff, and I've loved it. And actually somebody said that this should be a book, and it is a book, right? You wrote a book?
Yes. Now let me tell you about that. Man, y'all on it today. Y'all on it today. So I did write a book about it, and I don't even have it on my desk. I usually do, but I took it to the office. Yeah, it's not on my desk. So I wrote a book, and it's called Stripping to the Core: 11 Life Lessons on How to Move Forward Through Your Past. And I'm
Mm,
actually in the process of revising it because, to your point, when I wrote that book, I wrote the book to tell my story, hide it in there, and put it out. So that
mm.
if somebody was like, you didn't tell, oh, let me tell, I got, if we family, let me tell the whole truth. Let me tell the whole truth. So
Yes.
when I was looking to get out of dancing, I took some pictures. I gotta tell the whole story. When I was looking to get out of dancing, this was when the World Wide Web was first coming out, because that's what it was called back then, the World Wide Web. And I wanted to stop dancing, but I didn't have the funds just yet. And so I took these pictures for this lady, and she was like, they're going to be behind this secure wall. Nobody's ever going to see him, this, and the other. And again, low self-esteem. If you ain't seeing breasts and thighs and everything else, shame on you, not shame on me. Like, I'm just sharing what I got, but you can see it anywhere. So I took these pictures, and after I took them, it took me a really long time to get to a place where I thought that I could be successful. Most people had a fear of failure. I had a fear of success. I had a fear of success for a very, very, very long time. I knew
Mm,
I was good. I knew I was brilliant. I knew I was great. Everything I touched turned to gold. But if people find out that I was a dancer, if people find out that I took these naked pictures
mm,
and they're on the internet, they're not going to believe me. They're going to think I'm a bad person. Why would you? How could you? What kind of woman does that? One with low
mm.
self-esteem. And that's what I used to say to myself, you have low self-esteem. And then I was like, wait a minute, girl, you out here surviving. You're resilient. Now it was based out of self-esteem, low self-esteem. It was. But as I have grown and as I've developed, I'm like, you was out here making bad choices and decisions out of the fact that you knew you had it together. You couldn't just be out here making bad choices and decisions. I had to change my mindset about some of those things, right? Even
Mm,
though they were not great and they were not good, I don't take anything away from that. You kind of have to be ballsy to just sit out here and get beat naked on the internet. I had to also change that too. Like, you had to at least have some type of resilience to be like, I think I can go out here and make this work. I think you know what I'm saying? So
mm,
even though it wasn't good, it still was you have a little bit of confidence. You got to have some kind of confidence, because people out here ain't just doing these types of things. You know what I'm saying? And so in finding my way through those things and changing some of that stuff, I wrote the book, I put it in the book, and then I hid the book. so that nobody could ever come
Mm.
back and be like, well, you are fake. You never said it. You never did it. I did. And I wrote it in a book, but then I hid it and I didn't talk about it because I didn't really want you to know. So I'm in the process of redoing the book. The book is no
Mm.
longer called Stripping to the Core, 11 life lessons on how to move forward through your past. It's now called the new book, which will be coming out. You guys are the first person. I haven't even talked about this yet. The new book is called Bare Brilliance. So bare
Mm.
being nude, but brilliance being I was still brilliant even when I was dealing with those things.
Yes.
So then it's not called stripping to the core so that I can hide it. It's called bare brilliance. Like I was bare. I'm gonna in this book. It's the same book. I'm not changing anything. I'm adding the final chapter of the book.
Mm.
So and then I'm changing some of the ideology to be more on brand because my new brand your brilliant. So I wanted to be more on brand because I wrote the book and hid it just to say I did it. But now I'm going back through and tying it to who I am right now today. There were things that I left out because I was trying to keep some stuff to myself. I really didn't want you to know. I want you to know just enough so that you wouldn't say I was hiding it or being fake. And now I'm like, listen, let me tell you what I've been through. Let me tell you how you can get through. Let me tell you how your past doesn't have to define you. Bear your brilliance. Be brilliant. Let it be out. This is what happened to me. I'm about to be 48. This happened to me when I was 23. This was like 20 something years ago. I'm not even that person anymore. I had to forgive her.
Mm.
I had to bring her into me because I was living and I was distancing her from me. We're not the same. She's not like us. And then I realized she is us. She is the reason
Mm.
we are here today. Trying to get away from that life, trying to be better, wanting more is how I got here. That situation, while it didn't define me, it pushed me.
Mm.
It
Okay.
made me want more. It made me try harder. It made me show up every day. If I could show up and do that, why can't I show up and do this? And so
Mm.
now I talk about it. I do have it in the book. I'm in the process of redoing the book. The book's coming out next month for my birthday. It's a gift to myself, but to the world, plus two more books. So,
Wow.
yep.
Wow. Well, happy birthday in advance. And
Thank
I
you.
think that is so cool. And I first of all, I love the fact that you all are giving the encouraging words that you're giving. I'm looking at your comments and I can tell everybody is as impressed and excited about your story as I am. I mean, I think it's I mean, I've known the pieces, for years, but I've never heard it told that way. And I thought it was I mean, it was really powerful. And so by the way, I want everybody to know that Dr. Javette actually does regular appearances on Fly Nubian Money, which is the platform where the ladies go in there and do their thing. And Dr. Javette will tell you, I don't even talk to them about what they're going to talk about. I have no idea what they're going to do on a given day, and it's basically the Fly Nubian Money platform, which is a Fly Nubian Queen, the YouTube channel, was basically set up because my thought was like we need to hear from our smart black women. We really do, of all backgrounds, right? And that means liberal, conservative, old, young, rich, poor, educated, uneducated. And so my wife, Dr. Alicia, appears on there with you a lot. Tierra KJ Williams does. We have Athena Gardner, who's really smart. Lala, who's an
Yes.
international real estate agent or something like that, right? So just these super smart, super capable women talking about pretty much everything. So if you guys want to be notified when the queens go live, just text the word queens to the number 87948. If you text queens to 87948, they'll notify you when they go live and you can pop in. And we're building black owned media. We have hundreds of thousands of subscribers on the platform. And in fact, they actually even give a space where if you want to be invited as a guest on the show, you
Yep.
can. I mean, the white folks, they create the reel and the talk and the view, and none of that ever really represented the women that I knew. Like, I don't watch The View and see people that remind me of the women that I grew up with, the woman in my house, the women in my house, right? So I said, why don't we do our own thing? So if you text the word Queens to the number 87948, they will notify you. They go live every single day at 1 p.m. Eastern, every single day. So if you're into smart black women, which I think smart black women are awesome, then feel free to text Queens to 87948. The other thing too, I want to talk to you about you're doing an event in the Black Business School. And so that event, maybe you can talk a little bit about that and just sort of what's going to happen from people that want to learn from you, connect to you, stuff like that. So tell me about that. How's that going to go?
I'm going to tell you about that. And I want to address this one comment from Beverly really, really quickly. She said, "Thank you so much for the inspiration. I have been sitting on my books because of some of the things in my past that
Mm,
my family isn't aware of. What will my grandkids, nieces, nephews, brothers, sisters, etc. think of me? I've been getting past that, but there's still a little knot holding me back." Listen, I was there. It took me
mm,
3 years to write my book until I decided I wanted to write it. And then I wrote it, had it edited, and published in less than 30 days. Like once it was really in my spirit to do it, I did it. And I will
mm.
tell you that there were some things in the book that my mom was not aware of yet. So I had to have her read it. And she, that, oh my God. Um, But what I will tell you is somebody needs to hear your story. Somebody needs to know what you have to say. And this is for everybody in the room, not just that young lady. The past is the past. It's behind you. There's nothing we can do about it. But there are people that you can help, you can save, and you can teach by exposing it. I get more love, feedback, relatability when I tell my story like this than I do when I tell it like this. And I had to first learn that for me, but now I get DMs. Thank you so much. Da-da-da. I've been dealing with this in my past. That as a resilient people, I'm a 70s baby. A lot of us had to do a little something strange for some change. It might not have been dancing. It could have been slanging, could have been slanging rocks. It could have been slanging some, I don't know. Everybody was doing something different, but everybody did a little something to get by. We all have a story. Everybody might not know our story, and that's okay. But what does this say? You don't live in a glass house and throw rocks or something to that effect. Like we all got something. We all have something. So I would encourage everybody who's on here, if you have something that you want to do or a way that you want to move forward, but something in your past is holding you back, let it go.
Mhm.
Let it go. Okay, so
You have to let it go.
have
I mean,
to.
holding on to it is not going to help you. So
No.
I agree with you 100%. Please go ahead.
Okay, so the event that we have coming up, I have done a lot of startup stuff at the Black Business School. First of all, let's talk about the Black Business School. I love it. This is my favorite. Dr. Boyce always talks about the All Black National Convention. For me, it's the Black Business School. I bought the domain for the Black Business School. I set the Black Business School up at Teachable. That's the coolest thing for me to be able to come back here all the time because I remember Dr. Boyce was just thinking about it. He was like, "What do you think about the Black Business School?" I was like, "I think that's dope." He was like, "I wonder." And at that time, I had access to your HostGator, and I was like, "Hey, I bought the domain." You were like, "For real?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We should do something with it." And you were like what?" And I was like, "I don't know." And so Dr. Boyce gave me my very first class, which was my crowdfunding class, which was one of the very
Yeah.
first courses at the Black Business School. That's
Yes,
cooler
it
to
was.
me than
It
the All Black
was.
National Convention because this both of them are still living, but I had a hand in the beginning of both of them. That's why I love you so much. Like you've just been a great mentor. But anyway, so
Well, love you too. And I forgot it. Guys, it's amazing. One day you got to make an inventory of all the great stuff we've been able to work on together. It's that's very cool. Go ahead, please.
that's a cool one. Okay, so we've done a lot of startup stuff. And so this one is um products. Right now, digital products are super huge. And so what we know by way of consumerism is that a lot of business owners are putting out products, goods, and services that are not relating to the audience, either that they have or that they want. And so when you start thinking about why sometimes Black businesses operate they do, it's just that they don't know who their target market is. So that you might be creating a product, good, or service, and then going and selling it or pitching it to people, and you're like, "How come I'm not making money?" Well, do you know who the audience is? Do you know who your audience is versus who you want them to be? Because sometimes those things don't match. And so I'm doing a conversation on how to turn your concept into cash without chaos. And so that's what we'll be doing next Friday, just kind of helping Black entrepreneurs and business owners figure out, I have this business concept, this idea I have launched, I am thinking about launching, but I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm not getting the results that I want. I'm not making the money that I want to make. I don't really know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing and how I'm supposed to do it, even if these are the people I'm supposed to be doing it with. So I'm going to help people kind of walk through that so that they don't operate in chaos, so that they can get to the cash, the
Mm.
money.
Wow, I love that. I love that. So, by the way, if anybody who wants to be invited to Dr. Javet's event next Friday, just make sure you're on the text list for Money in the Morning. You can do that by texting the word morning to 87948. Text morning to 87948, and I'll send you guys a link and you can jump in and dig deeper with Dr. Javet. I'm gonna tell you, Lanee, Dr. Javet, I'm gonna go back and forth. I hope that's okay. Just like you can call me.
Listen, I'm surprised you ain't dropped the Nene in there yet. I was waiting for it. I was like,
You know what, Nene,
Nene.
you know what, I do call her, I do call you Nene, and I was like, if I say Nene, the internet's gonna run with that, and be like, Dr. Boyce is calling her Nene. That's so scandalous. So, but yes, there's Nene, Lene, and Dr. Lene. So, but and really, I use Dr. Lene because I want to just really respect everything that you've accomplished. I saw how hard you worked to finish your dissertation. I've seen I mean, I'm gonna tell you what impressed me with Dr. Javette when I first started working with her was she was so thorough. I mean, you were just super thorough with, and here's the thing, on the internet there's so many people, no thank you, this is me yelling at the maid telling them I don't need them to clean my room. um but the thing was that it's like there's so much stuff on the internet that's just all flash and no substance. There are people out here, that don't know what they're talking about, but they do it in a flashy way, and then they charge you $30,000, and I guess people go for that. That's not how things worked where I came from. I came from academia where you had to have the substance. The flash didn't even matter in academia. It was all about the substance. So you get to the internet and it's like, okay, so you got to add flashy stuff onto the substance so people will see it. Like, okay, wait, I'm not used to actually, hanging out with rappers to convince you that financial literacy is important, right? But maybe we figure some of this out. But what was impressive to me is that when we worked on that first project, and I didn't care anything about the background, none of that stuff. That didn't matter to me. I just listened to you as a person. I was like, okay, she's smart. And also, I was super impressed with your resilience because people may not know this about you, but you quit your job by doing a crowdfunding campaign where you raised $10,000 in 30 days, and you were just determined to do it, and you stuck with it. And I was like, okay, this is impressive. I don't like working with weak people. I don't like working with scared people or people that are just gonna just give up when it gets hard. So I respect that. But then the other thing too was when we did work together on that first project, probably back in 2014. I said, man, this lady's on top of it. I mean, everything you did was like, whoa. So there's substance there. It's like there's a lot of meat. It's not a bunch of fat,
Yeah.
so in addition to that, you've also, I'd say she passes in terms of the flashy test as well, in the sense of like, you're professional, you're awesome, people can see all that there on the surface, but I want people to understand that Dr. Lanee's value is really everything that's beneath the surface. I mean, everything that's there. Like when you hang out with her and you learn from her or work with her, you're really gonna get a lot of value there. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking and basically ask you this. So you're coming to the All Black National Convention, right? So people
Yes.
can meet you there as well, which is October 25th to the 27th in Chicago, Illinois, Lombard, which is a suburb of Chicago, actually. And so the convention. How do you feel about the way things have evolved with the ABNC since we first started? I mean, we had those first days where we're running back and forth, and we were at the Shrine of the Black Madonna. Everything was in one room. Now we have breakout sessions. It's a little fancier, not too bougie. I didn't want to go extra bougie, but at the same time, I wanted people to have a classy experience. How do you feel about your experience with the convention just through these years?
Proud. It's like
Mm.
our baby. Like it's your baby, but I got to babysit it. I got to nurse it.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you being involved the way you were. Um, I remember how overwhelmed I was. Do you remember when we were there at the first one and Umar Johnson like came in and was looking around to just see what we were doing?
Early
And
morning,
somebody, do you remember that? And somebody said, they said, yeah, Dr. Umar's outside. I said, well, tell him to come in. He doesn't. And he was in it. Like, just look.
yeah.
That was. I remember that like it was yesterday. I think I still have pictures from that first convention.
Uh,
So I want to say thank you publicly for sure for just the great work you do and what you represent and who you are, and I love watching you just become this powerhouse that you become. And so I'm not even gonna lead this last part with a question. Did you have anything you wanted to share? And CJ wrote for the culture, and I like that statement because there is a culture that we represent. It ain't, whatever's out there, right? It's not necessarily hip hop culture, even though we appreciate hip hop. It's not white corporate culture. It's our culture. It's B1 culture. It's to me, this is pro-black, unapologetic. We are building, we love ourselves, we want each other to be great. We want our children to be great. And I personally think this is something for us to be proud of. Did you have any final remarks you wanted to leave us with?
I do. I just want to say that we deserve it. Like, we deserve top notch. We deserve to be treated well. We deserve to have substance. Our stuff should look good. I don't deliver subpar, throw anything at Black people because we're kings and queens. We should have the best. Our stuff should have substance. Dr. Boyce, I was like, your stuff looks so good. It's
Mhm.
supposed to. I need us as Black people to expect
Yes.
the best, so that
Yes.
when we get it, we don't feel like it doesn't belong to us, or we didn't earn it, or we should not have anything less than the best. It's why I put substance into what I do, plus why it looks beautiful, plus why I charge what I charge. Like, I know that there are people out there, like for my coaching program, my coach, she gets mad. She's not mad, but she's like, you're undervaluing yourself. You could be selling this for $25,000. Yes, I could, but I know my audience. I know who I'm here to serve. I know what I bring to the table and I know what I offer. Could I charge 25,000? I could, but the people who really need this information, who really need to learn and grow, I can't fight the stereotypes that are against us if I'm only serving and helping one kind of people. These are my people over here. These are people who need the community, and they deserve greatness, and they deserve to have business acumen, and they deserve to have good businesses, and they deserve to have the access to information the same way that everybody else does. Money is what keeps people apart from education, which keeps us, our businesses, so far apart from each other. And because I know who I am and I know who I serve, I get to show up and treat and honor my community in the way that they should be. So I think what I would leave people with is to expect greatness. Look for it. You deserve it. You should have it. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't, or you shouldn't, or you don't deserve it. Don't let your past try to sneak its dirty head up and try to tell you what you didn't have and what you used to do and how you tried 15 times. Try a 16th time. Like, just
Yes.
keep pushing
Yes.
forward. So
Yes.
that's what I would leave. But is it okay if we drop the link for the webinar next Friday in the chat?
You know what? What I'm gonna do is I don't have the link with me. If you have it, you can
I
put it in
do.
the chat.
Chanel sent it to me. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead and pop it in the chat. And also, anybody who is watching and you can't see the link, just make sure you get on our text list. Text the word morning to 87948, and I'm gonna text this link out to everybody that's on the Money in the Morning list. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, Dr. Javette, but we do Money in the Morning financial consciousness training every single morning at 7 a.m. Eastern. And I want to know, how do y'all enjoy? I'm gonna do a survey with this pretty soon, but are you guys enjoying me bringing guests in? I know there's some days where I'll do the whole session myself, but do you like that? You kind of like the variety of perspectives. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is start bringing in some at least somebody at least maybe once a week or so, and like next week, D1 is gonna come in, and D1, as you know, he's actually very financially conscious. He's literally one of the few hip hop artists that has made a lot of songs about money, wealth, stuff like he has Sally Mae back where he rapped about paying off his student loans, and he got a big contract with Sally Mae to go to high schools and perform the song. And also he had another interesting song called "I Hate Money," where he actually talks about some of the things we discuss in class about how money can ruin your life if you use it in the wrong way. It causes bad incentives sometimes in our community when we don't understand it and contextualize it properly. And so he has a lot of good stuff like that. So D1 is a smart guy. You probably heard of him if you've been hanging out with me, and he's going to come in next week. I talked to him today, and he's going to be speaking at InvestFest this weekend. I'm going to go and meet him over there, and then after that, he'll be coming through here early next week. And by the way, his album right now, I don't know if you know this, Lene, but D's album right now, I'm super proud because he's come to many conventions. His
That was
album
the
right
first time I
now,
met him. I met him the first time at he was at the first one. That was the first one
he
I
was
met.
at the very first one.
He was. I have a picture with him.
I
Hmm.
remember David Banner and Killer Mike, but I don't remember D1 being at the
I
first
was
one.
there.
Wow. I don't, that's crazy.
I
Yeah,
don't know if he spoke. I don't know if he spoke, but he was in the green room with us. That's where I got the picture.
that's crazy. Oh my God. You got to show me that picture. I know D's been to about 4 or 5, and
Yes.
so like right now, literally his album is #2 in the world on Spotify. Did you know, right behind Eminem? Right behind Eminem.
Wow.
Yes. Ahead of Megan the Stallion. Like my man is getting it in. He's doing it. And he's changing the
Wow.
world. Yeah, and he's 100% B1. So anyway, the link should be in the chat.
Yep.
Lene, were you able to put the link in the chat? Did it
I was. I posted it a couple times. I'm gonna post it one more time since it slowed down. It was going really fast a minute ago. Oops,
oh
sorry. That's not what I meant to put. There
yeah,
we go. Oh, there's
maybe
the
it's because
link.
we have so many people in the Zoom. Can y'all
Yeah.
see the link? Let me know if y'all see the link. Give me a quick yes if you see the link that's in the chat. Um, okay, I'm seeing some no's. So maybe you know what? I think that it's because it's set to hosts and panelists, but that's okay.
Oh, you know why? Yep, it says the host and panelists, so I can't share to the other people. Sorry, you
you know
guys.
what? That's all good. I'm gonna do that right now. So there you go. There's the link right
There you go.
now.
Thank you.
And also, everybody who's watching on YouTube right now, I'm going to put this link in the chat as well, so you guys can join Dr. Javette's event next week, and it's free to anybody that wants to come in. So there we go. It's right there. All right. So I want to say thank you, Dr. Javette. Thank you so much for coming by, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm smiling because I feel like the future is bright for our people. I think that it is because of people like you. And I want to say thank you publicly for the great work that you're doing because I'm super impressed with it. And I look forward to doing awesome things in the future. So God
Oh,
bless you. All right.
thank you
And
so much. Can I just, yeah, I know I've seen you guys, a lot of you guys were asking me, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? You can find me on social media, literally at my name. I am Dr. Lanee Javet. And somebody said, when are we going to see the second book? I promise you, I will be back. Like I'm tell Dr. Boyce when I get the books together. Can I please come back and talk to the people?
of course you can.
So yeah, when I get the books together, I will be back. But you can always follow me on all social medias at I am Dr. Lanee Javet.
All right, all right. There we go. There you have it. And I'm gonna tag her. I'm gonna put clips of this conversation on my Instagram with Dr. Boyce Finance, and I will tag her on the clips so that everybody who's if you didn't write it down for whatever reason, you can link and follow. That stuff's important. You got to support the smart people that have substance because there's a lot of people that get attention in ways that are not productive at all. And I think that our smartest, best, and brightest, hardest working people, the ones who care about us, who put us first, have to get our attention. So, you may think it's not a big deal when you hit that like button or you follow somebody or you make a comment or you support somebody, but it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. So let's support our own. Let's stop supporting people that don't care about us. So anyway,
I
God
said one
bless you
more
guys.
thing. I'm
Yes,
so sorry. I'm
please.
about to leave.
That's okay. That's all right.
Natasha says, can we read her dissertation? You can. If you go to my Instagram, in my links, I actually have a link to my dissertation. It's important because there's so many their PhDs out there that I wanted you to know that I wrote a dissertation. So if you go to my Instagram and you click on my links, it says read my dissertation. So yes, you can read my dissertation.
There you go. There you have it. All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Javette, and thank you, everybody. And I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. If you're not on the text list to get notified, just text the word morning to 87948. And actually, later on this week, I'm actually going to send you all a link for some cybersecurity stocks that I think you may want to take a look at because that was actually what I was going to talk about today. Before I remember that you were coming in, I was going to tell them all about how cybersecurity is this growing industry because of AI and all these threats. But you know what? We'll just do that tomorrow. So you'll get that too. So God bless you, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks again, Lanee. I'm going to give you a call actually right after just to